Welcome, everybody. Welcome to your Keystone PrimeCast. It is Black Friday. It is November the 29th, 2024, and we are about to be setting out on the road from the location here. We are already seeing snow outside the window here, and this is already going on along the Erie Lake Shore. It's going to be a lake effect snow event. We've got some guests for you today with the Keystone PrimeCast. Going to bring in number one here, and of course, I'm talking about our good friend Chief Meteorologist Joe, Pittsburgh weather dude. Joe, how you doing there, bud?
Doing well. Happy Friday to you as well.
Happy Friday, Joe. And just for our viewers to know, we're going to be cycling through some of these boxes. This is a new format that we've been experimenting with here on the channel. We've been stretching our legs. And we also have another good friend with us here today. It's Keystone Prime winter weather expert, Dan Mergen. How are you doing there today, Dan?
Doing pretty good on this Black Friday. Enjoying seeing the snowfall outside my window here in Ohio as well.
Excellent. Well, we're going to be back in through the boxes here as we go through the Keystone PrimeCast. I have up there in the corner there, I have the NOM 3K pulled up, and we're already starting to see some of this come to fruition as been looking at some of those road cams and everything up along the lake shore as that snow is already piling up. We're going to be targeting somewhere between Erie, Pennsylvania and Dunkirk, New York for the first little bit as we're going to be out on the road later. So we're going to kick it over right now. Joe, why don't you just kind of give our viewers a little bit of an overview about what we're seeing currently and what we're going to be dealing with?
No, of course. Well, I'd like to preach that November is really, November and December is your peak for lake effect, given your warmer lake temperatures and the Arctic air is finally arriving. So what we have going on here is a large trough overhead. You have pieces of energy running around that trough to kick up the dust. We have a nice westerly flow going over Erie and Ontario at the moment, and that has really helped launch these two heavy bands. You have a lot of fetch you're working with. That's your distance, which you need over the lake in order for these bands to develop and flourish. But it's going to be consistent. There'll be some subtle fluxes in where this band is positioned, a jog north, a jog south. So your highest totals will vary depending on that. But looking at the totals, it's impressive as can be. Erie is going to do well, clocking in over 3 feet. Your highest totals are there in north and east of Erie. And up near Watertown, expect up to 60 to 70 inches of snow, which is absolutely incredible.
That's excellent. I mean, not so excellent for the people who are going to be living there, but for our coverage is going to be excellent. And we're going to see exactly how this plays out. I have a feeling you're going to be spot on. These models are spot on. I can remember many lake effect winter events that we saw this type of a setup and that, came to fruition exactly as planned. We were mentioning Watertown. Dan, what are you thinking about the props of Watertown? We're starting to see some of these, that's going to be to the east of Lake Ontario, and we're starting to see some more of these progs that are going for closer to 6 to 7 feet now.
I see that, and I also think a lot of that has to do with the short-range models are picking up on a connection from Huron to Ontario, and that's also going to help drive that band to be even more intense. And they're also that's kind of what's going on with Michigan to Erie right now and hitting into Ashtabula, and right there you got a 2 lake connection for a moisture feed, which is going to help drive up those 4, 5, 6, 7 foot totals. Watertown could go, but it just depends on how long that band actually just sits there. That's the great thing and the bad thing about these lake effect is 5 miles can be 50 inches of snow.
Incredible.
And you got to just watch, and it's an outcast situation. You just got to watch where the bands actually do set up.
I mean, absolutely. And, as has been mentioned, it's all due in the band fluctuation. We were talking the other day, we're talking on Wednesday, me and Joe were during the Primecast, and we're simply saying, we have these people before, and we saw it in both of the lake effect events at the end of 2022, where people got themselves stranded and got themselves in a bad situation in their cars because they ran to the store and they were wearing shorts and a t-shirt, and they were saying, well, it's going to be a lake effect band. I just go 5 miles north or 10 miles south and I'm out of it. It's fine. Well, they wound up not able to get out of that band 5 miles north or 10 miles south because it just hit them so hard so quickly, and it's all due into where the Jets aiming that particular band. Um, if we're looking at this evening, this afternoon, up to say Dunkirk, New York, Dunkirk appears to have drawn itself a target so many times in the past couple of years. I think I was in Dunkirk 4 times last fall alone. Um, you really just park there in front of the Mexican restaurant right off of the exit ramp and start filming snowplows. What is I'll ask Joe here. What are we looking at as far as Dunkirk is concerned?
Well, I have my snow maps pulled up, so let's take a look. And Dunkirk, we're looking at over 40 inches more at this point. So it's going to be pretty robust for several miles along the lake, again, depending on the fluctuation of said snow band.
Excellent, excellent. Well, guys, what more can we tell people? We already know that it's going to be a decent snowfall event, and I say decent as an understatement. We've seen what these performers can do, and even early into November. Mentioned last time. The early portion of November of 2022, I was covering a hurricane one week, and literally 5 days later was standing in 7 feet of snow outside of Highmark Stadium in Buffalo with Reed Timmer. Um, it's just one of those things that smacks in so hard and then dumps its snow, and the next several days are just people trying to pick up the pieces, dig out from under it, and survive. We're told people there was a safety package last time where we just basically said, pack supplies in your car. If you're going to be out on the road, try not to be out on the road. Have a backup source of energy. Have battery packs to charge your cell phones. Have spare non-perishable food. And I can't believe I have to say this, but I grew up in the South, and I saw this little trick used in the ice storms that would happen in the South every now and then. Perishable food is okay if you're at home. If you have 7 feet of snow outside your back door, that's a freezer that works. Just go put your milk and everything else in the snow. You'll be fine. But have a way to heat that food up if you can. Sterno cans. If you get stranded in your car, try to keep the car running. Try to keep the heat on. Conserve body heat as much as you can, and remember to dig that snow out from around the tailpipe so that carbon monoxide poisoning isn't that much of a threat. Dan, do you have any additional tips on this?
My main thing, you always got to make sure you travel with blankets, because in case your heat does go out, you got to make sure you're prepared there. And one thing I always kept in my go bag for that kind of situation was a jar of peanut butter. You can live on one single jar of peanut butter for a long time.
Absolutely.
And that's one of my survival tips that I always make sure that I have in my car in the winter is a jar of peanut butter, because you can last for days on one single 1 pound jar of peanut butter.
That's a great tip. I'd say peanut butter and beef jerky, a little underrated. People forget about it, but you can take a bag of beef jerky out of the gas station, and yeah, it's $12, but you can throw it in the trunk of your car, and it will survive no problem for years. So, that's one I can think of too. And I'll go back into for our closer. go back in. And Joe, is there anything additional as far as you know, safety tips, survival tips, anything like that? Anything to keep in mind about our wintertime situations there?
You know what? One thing, and it's so trivial. However, do not forget your charger for your vehicle, for your phone.
Absolutely. Well,
So that could be a great thing.
well, guys, I appreciate you stopping by. Always appreciate you guys making for the Keystone PrimeCast, our viewers at home there. Um, you know, absolutely appreciate both of you. Thank you, Joe and Dan.
Thank you very much.
Have a good day.
You likewise, Bud. And for our viewers, just going to let you guys know the live streams from the field are going to be starting here in about an hour and a half, around about 4 p.m., probably, could be 5 p.m. We're going to be going live from the road. That live radar feed will be back up, and you'll know it's from the road because you'll see it scrolling by in your thumbnail. So until next time, for Joe, Pittsburgh Weather Dude, for Dan Mergen, and for myself, B. Dean Barry, Keystone Prime Weather, thank you for